So carrying on with our analysis of perfect prompts now, we're going to look at accounting prompts specifically because, of course, you'll want to know how to use AI to craft AI prompts that are going to help you out with real examples with what you do day to day. So we've got some accounting prompts now that we're going to take a look at, and we're going to see how they work in the large language model. And as you can see, we have covered the 4 parts of the prompting formula. We've got the role, we've got the task, we've got the context and the output. So let's take a look at a few examples here. So this one would be responding to a client question. So you act as a small business accountant in the UK. And remember, we need to make that location clear because we need to tell the AI to understand that we are using UK tax laws, UK legal laws, a law in other words, and other UK-based context. Write a professional reply to a client asking if their £1,200 laptop is tax deductible. Assume that they are a sole trader and they are using it mostly for work, and provide a recommendation. So let's take a look at what kind of output we get if we put that into ChatGPT. And as you can see, I've switched my screen, and we'll just ask it to write that response. And you can see it's a very professional but friendly tone. It's talking about the tax treatment of the laptop. It's mentioned that the client is a sole trader. You can indeed claim tax relief, but it's then bringing up things like the annual investment allowance. It's talking about different proportions, if you use some of it for business use, some of it for personal use. It's also providing a recommendation to keep receipts, keep the portion of business versus personal use on your records, etc. A very comprehensive response. And again, one that would have taken us a lot longer to write than the AI did. And we can tailor it and we can change it as and when we feel. So let's go back and look at some other prompts now. And this next one is to do with writing a report summary. We're a UK-based accountant and we need to prepare a summary of the Q1 2025 accounts attached for a retail client. So just a key tip there that you can insert information into GPT. Be aware of security requirements though. It could be that you need to make sure you're using an enterprise account with security built in, or you are basically redacting any personal client information in the report when you put it in. So it's just the numbers, it's a client X, etc. And it could be related to anyone, just to make sure you're not breaching any data requirements or any data privacy requirements. Keep it to bullet points, highlight important figures, and calculate the key financial metrics. So again, let's go and see how ChatGPT handles this. And just before we do, just to show you, these are the figures. These are just completely randomly created figures. It's not relative and related to any real company. It's just a very simple side-by-side Q1 2025, Q1 2024 for the purposes of demonstrating what we're about to demonstrate on ChatGPT. And this applies to both question 2, which we're about to look at, and question 3, which we'll come on to in a moment. So just letting you know where these figures have come from. So as you can see, we've got the information posted into GPT now. We've got our question there. Now we just need to ask it to calculate those metrics and highlight those figures. Now, it might take a bit longer this time because it does have to actually look at the spreadsheet itself and analyze the various different figures on it before it produces its results. But shouldn't take too long still. And you can see it's now providing us a summary in bullet points as we requested. It's giving us some key figures. It's giving us the financial metrics as well. So it's telling us what our operating profit margin is, our gross margin, our growth in revenue from last quarter. And again, we could ask it for more information. We could ask it to provide, to then create a graph for me based on this, provide actual commentary, etc., or insights into the specific expense categories. So it's again giving us suggestions of what we might want to do to build on this analysis further. So back to our presentation now and looking at our third and final question. This time we're looking to play the role of a strategic advisor. We're not an accountant, we're an advisor, a consultant for the strategy of this company. And again, that's something you might want to do as well if you want to add extra value to your client, is rather than say, I'm an accountant, say I'm a consultant or I'm a strategy consultant, and you want to provide advice on how they're going to grow their business forward. Further forward, and then of course that's going to be more value to the client because you are then not just providing an analysis of the figures, but you're giving real strategic information about how they might grow and develop their business. So act as a UK-based strategic advisor based on this profit and loss, the same one that we've already used, suggest 3 key areas where the business can improve profit margins and provide a detailed explanation. But they're a retail client, they're not people that are versed in finances, for example, so use plain language for a non-financial client. Now, of course, I'm just making an assumption there. There's probably plenty of people in retail that are well versed in finances, but I'm just giving some context for what the output needs to be. So just as before, we'll post our question in, but this time we are acting as a UK-based strategic advisor. The same information, so again, more evidence of how you, when you ask a different question, you're going to get a different response, even if the same file, the same document has been uploaded into the system. So just give it a moment there to analyze the information and to provide its outcome. And we can see it's actually given us an output in a spreadsheet format, but then it's also given us a detailed explanation. So this is actually important because it's then showing where it got its figures from. So it's basically saying, well, to help grow your business, you could help control raw material costs. It cost you $40,000 in quarter 1, 2025. But this was 26% of your total revenue. So what you could do to potentially improve this and to improve your margins, to negotiate better volumes, particularly if your order volume has grown, review your suppliers to see if you can find alternatives, or are you wasting materials? Are you over ordering? Then talks about the cost increase in packing and distribution. Can you review your shipping methods? Giving us some advice on that. And again, this is something that you can build on. You don't just have to take the initial output. You could say, okay, well, you've advised that we optimize our packing and distribution through either reviewing our shipping methods or auditing our packaging. Now provide me with some more detailed explanation of how I could go about auditing my packaging or how I could review my shipping methods, and give me some suggestions, or even go online and find some companies that do this for me. And so you can identify some new shipping companies and distribution companies for me. So we're only scratching the surface here. You can see the output is very good, but what we can actually do is just use it and build on it and multi-prompt it to just feed through back and forth until we get a really comprehensive outcome. But that's a topic for another video. So as we saw there, the fact that we used decent prompts meant that we got decent outcomes. And that's an important takeaway here for this video. And a few extra additional tips as well to help you to craft those great points is, again, be specific. Now, whilst we, in the previous examples, we had the role, we had the task, we had the context, we had the tone, that's the formula. But within that formula, you also need to be very specific. You can't just say, imagine you are someone working in the general finance industry. Be specific. Say you're a management accountant, you're a financial accountant, you're an auditor, you're a financial advisor. Detail beats being vague every time when it comes to prompting. Always make sure you set the scene. You can't put too much information. Though prompts that we had before, if I'm honest, are actually, because they were for demonstrative purposes, they were actually quite small. You might want to put more detail in. What you can even do is ask GPT to help write your prompts for you, saying, I need it to be really in the context of this company here. Write for me the context prompt that will help you to recognize that. Make sure you choose your tone and make sure you choose your output as well and your format. You don't want it to produce a report when you were looking for an email. You don't want it to produce a bullet-pointed list when you were looking for an in-depth discussion. So always choose your tone and specify your output as well. And follow this basic formula. Build on it, expand on it, find what works for you, but essentially act as role. Here's the task. Based on this context, format the response as and put in your style and your format. And remember that AI is not magic. It's not going to know what you want it to do. You need to train it. You need to tell it exactly what it needs to do. And it's not always easy to do this. And it's not something that you're necessarily going to get automatically the first time. But practice it and make it perfect. You've got that structure. You've got those tips about being specific. You've got the 4-part response of the role, the task, the context, the output, the tone. You've got that structure. Use that. Tweak it for what works for you. Practice it in real life. Perhaps use client emails. Use things actually in your workplace, provided you have permission to use it, of course. And the more you do it, the better you'll become at using it. And once you've created your own perfect prompts based on your specific needs, you'll have a client-ready response ready for you to use immediately. And what I mean by that is once you've spent the time working with your prompts, crafting your prompts, you'll create your own formula that you can save, that you can reuse. Just switch the names around, switch the context around, and you'll produce quality professional outputs time after time. So again, really, really important. One of the most important things that you could do with regards to using AI effectively is to prompt it effectively. Remember that garbage in, garbage out phrase. If you don't put a good prompt in, you're not going to get a good response. So remember the formula, apply the formula, test it out, trial it, find what works for you, and you'll have a great set of prompts for you to really massively improve your efficiency in the workplace.